The conference room was too bright. I could feel every set of eyes on me as I stood at the head of the mahogany table, my laptop open to the final slide of our Series B pitch deck. $50 million. That's what we'd just secured for NeuralPath, the AI healthcare platform I'd spent 6 years building from nothing. Congratulations, Miss Chen, the lead investor said, extending his hand across the table. We're excited to partner with you. I shook his hand, managing a smile despite the migraine already forming behind my left eye. These always came when I was stressed. Thank you. I'm looking forward to what we'll build together. The room erupted in polite applause. My team was beaming. Marcus, my husband of 3 years, sat in the back corner where he always positioned himself during my meetings. He caught my eye and raised his phone slightly, mouthing, "So proud of you." I nodded, already feeling the nausea that came with my migraines. 2 hours later, I was supposed to be at the celebration dinner my CMO had organized at some expensive restaurant in Soma. Instead, I was in our Uber heading back to our penthouse on Russian Hill, one hand pressed against my temple. "Bad one?" the driver asked, glancing in the rearview mirror. "They're all bad," I said quietly. "I just need my medication and darkness." Marcus had texted me 3 times. "Stay! This is your night. The team wants to celebrate with you. I'll make sure everyone has a good time. Don't worry." I typed back with one hand. "Migraine is killing me. Celebrate for both of us. Love you." His response came immediately. "Always do. Feel better, babe." The penthouse was dark when I let myself in at 9:47 p.m. I'd left my key fob at the office, so I used the backup code on the door. My heels clicked against the marble floor of the entryway as I dropped my bag and kicked them off. The city lights sparkled through our floor-to-ceiling windows, but they made my head pound harder. I headed toward the bedroom, already unbuttoning my blazer, when I heard it, the soft clicking of a keyboard, coming from my home office. My office that I'd locked that morning, that I always locked. I stopped in the hallway, my hand frozen on the buttons of my jacket. The clicking continued, steady and rhythmic, someone typing quickly, confidently. My mind raced through possibilities. Marcus was supposed to be at the restaurant. We didn't have cleaning service on Thursdays. No one else had access to our penthouse or my office. I moved silently down the hallway in my stockinged feet. The office door was cracked open, a sliver of blue light from a computer screen cutting across the dark hallway. I could see his profile now. Marcus, sitting at my desk, his face illuminated by my laptop screen. My locked laptop, the one with all of NeuralPath's financial data, investor documents, and proprietary algorithms. I pushed the door open. He didn't even flinch, didn't minimize the screen or close the laptop. He just kept typing, his fingers flying across my keyboard. "What are you doing?" He looked up then, and his expression was something I'd never seen before. Not guilty, not surprised. Just annoyed that I'd interrupted him. "You're supposed to be at dinner," he said, his voice flat. "I have a migraine." I stepped into the room, my eyes adjusting to the dim light. On my screen, I could see spreadsheets, financial projections, cap tables, documents I'd spent weeks preparing for the investor meeting. "Why are you on my laptop?" I needed some information. He turned back to the screen, clicking on something. I heard the soft ping of an email sending. My stomach dropped. "What information?" "For a project I'm working on." He was still typing, still clicking. "Don't worry about it." I moved around the desk until I could see the screen clearly. My email was open. He'd forwarded 3 documents to an address I didn't recognize. Before I could read which documents, he closed the browser window. "Marcus." My voice was steadier than I felt. "What did you just send?" He sighed, like I was a child asking tiresome questions. "Isabella, you just closed a $50 million round. I've been supporting your little startup for 3 years while you worked 100-hour weeks. I think I'm entitled to understand the business I've invested in." "You haven't invested anything." The words came out sharper than I intended. "You work for MedTech Solutions. I built NeuralPath." His jaw tightened. "I've invested my time, my emotional support, my credibility in the industry. People take you seriously because you're married to me." I actually laughed, The sound surprised both of us. "Marcus, you're a sales director. I have a PhD in biomedical engineering and 6 patents. No one takes me seriously because of you." He stood up then, closing my laptop with a deliberate click. "You know what? I'm done playing the supportive husband while you get all the glory. I've been documenting everything for months. Your insider trading, your questionable financial practices, your manipulation of clinical trial data." My blood ran cold. "I've never done any of those things." "Doesn't matter." He pulled out his phone, scrolling through something. "I have emails, documents, screenshots, all with your name on them. And when this goes public, Neural Path is finished. But don't worry. I've already got a very generous settlement drafted. You sign over 50% of the company to me, pay me $5 million in cash for my emotional suffering, and I keep all this evidence private." I stared at him. This man I'd married 3 years ago. This man who'd held me while I cried over failed experiments, who'd celebrated with me when we got our first paying customer, who'd moved into my penthouse and driven my Tesla and worn the Rolex I'd bought him for our anniversary. "You're blackmailing me." "I'm protecting my interests." He walked past me toward the door. "My lawyer girlfriend has already reviewed everything. It's airtight. You've got until Monday to sign. Otherwise, I send these documents to the SEC, the FDA, and every tech journalist in Silicon Valley. Your investors will pull out. Your company will collapse. You'll be lucky if you avoid prison." He paused in the doorway. "Oh, and Isabella? I've already moved out. You'll find my settlement agreement on the kitchen counter. Sign it and send it to the email address listed. You're a smart woman. Make the smart choice." I heard him walk down the hallway. Heard the front door open and close. Heard the elevator ding as it arrived to take him down. I stood in my dark office for a long moment, my migraine forgotten. Then I sat down at my desk, opened my laptop, and started making phone calls. The first call was to Margaret Sullivan, my mentor. She'd built and sold 2 healthcare startups before I'd even graduated college. She answered on the second ring. "Isabella? Shouldn't you be celebrating? Marcus just tried to blackmail me into giving him 50% of Neural Path." There was a pause. Then, "I warned you about him." "I know. What evidence does he have?" "He claims he has proof of insider trading and clinical trial manipulation, all with my name on it." "And did you do any of those things?" "Of course not." "Then, the documents are fabricated." Margaret's voice was calm, analytical, which means this was planned, probably for months. "Did you see what he sent from your email?" I pulled up my sent folder, scrolling back. My hands were shaking. Financial projections, cap tables, and, oh God, our complete algorithm documentation. Who did he send them to? I clicked on the recipient email. Someone named David.Chen at medtechsolutions.com. That's his company. He's committing corporate espionage. Margaret paused. "Isabella, tell me you protected yourself legally when you got married." "I did. We have a prenup. He gets half of anything acquired during the marriage." "And Neural Path?" "Was founded 4 years before we met. It's explicitly excluded from marital assets." "But," I closed my eyes. "But the company's grown exponentially during our marriage. The Series B funding was literally today. He could argue the valuation increase is marital property, only if Isabella Webb owns the company." I opened my eyes. "What? Who legally owns Neural Path?" Margaret asked. "You personally? An LLC? A trust?" I thought back to the conversation we'd had 6 years ago, when I was just starting out, when Margaret had insisted I set up proper legal structures. "The Chen Family Trust," I said slowly. "I set it up using my maiden name for privacy. All my shares are held by the trust." "And who's the beneficiary?" "I am." But the pieces were starting to click together. The trust names me as Isabella Chen, not Isabella Webb. "And your marriage license?" "Lists me as Isabella Webb." Margaret laughed. Actually laughed. "Oh, Isabella, you brilliant girl. Marcus drafted a settlement for Isabella Webb to sign over 50% of her company shares. But Isabella Webb doesn't own any shares in Neural Path, does she? The Chen Family Trust does. And Marcus has no legal claim to assets held by a trust that was established before your marriage, managed under your maiden name, and structured specifically to protect your business interests. I felt something unfold in my chest, not quite relief, not quite triumph, something colder, clearer. He doesn't know. Men like Marcus never ask the right questions, Margaret said. They assume women are too emotional or too naive to protect themselves. What's he asking for in this settlement? I walked to the kitchen, flipping through the pages he'd left on the counter. 50% of my shares in Neural Path, $5 million cash, full ownership of our penthouse, and he gets to keep all the evidence private. And if you don't sign, he reports me to the SEC and FDA for crimes I didn't commit, based on fabricated evidence he created using your email. Margaret's voice hardened. That's multiple federal crimes right there. Corporate espionage, fraud, extortion. How good is his lawyer girlfriend? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Here's what you're going to do. Tomorrow morning, you're going to call David Chen. Who? My nephew. He's a partner at Sullivan & Chen, best litigation firm in the Bay Area. You're going to tell him everything. Then you're going to sign Marcus's settlement. What? Sign it. As Isabella Webb, give him exactly what he's asking for. 50% of Isabella Webb's shares in Neural Path, all $5 million of Isabella Webb's cash. The penthouse that's deeded to Isabella Webb, she paused, which is 0 shares, $0, and a condo that's actually owned by your trust. Sign it, send it, and let him think he's won. And then? Then we let him try to claim his prize. And when he realizes Isabella Webb owns nothing, we have him arrested for corporate espionage, fraud, and attempted extortion. You did keep records of him accessing your laptop and forwarding documents, didn't you? I have security cameras in my office. They're motion activated and backed up to the cloud. Perfect. Get some sleep, Isabella. Tomorrow, we destroy him. I slept terribly. The migraine had faded, but every time I closed my eyes, I saw Marcus's face. That annoyed expression when I'd interrupted him stealing my company's secrets. The cold confidence when he'd explained his blackmail scheme. The certainty that I would sign. At 7 a.m., I was in David Chen's office. He was 40, sharp-featured, with the same analytical intensity as his aunt. He listened to my story without interrupting, making notes on a yellow legal pad. "Do you have the security footage?" he asked when I finished. I pulled up the cloud storage on my phone, showing him the timestamp from last night. Marcus entering my office at 8:15 p.m., sitting at my laptop for 43 minutes. The angle didn't show the screen, but you could clearly see him typing and clicking. And your email logs show documents sent during that window? 3 emails, all to an address at his company. Did you give him permission to access your laptop or send those documents? Never. Did he have any legitimate business reason to access proprietary Neural Path information? No. He works for a competitor. I've never even told him our algorithm details. It's all protected by NDA. David set down his pen. This is straightforward corporate espionage. The blackmail elevates it to extortion. The fabricated evidence is fraud. We could have him arrested today. But I recommend we let him hang himself. Sign the settlement. Let him file it. Let him try to claim his 50% of nothing. When it becomes clear he was attempting to defraud you, the criminal charges will be even more solid. Plus, we can pursue civil damages for the attempted theft of trade secrets. How much could he face? Criminally? 5 to 10 years for corporate espionage alone. The extortion and fraud add another 5 each. Civilly, we could sue for damages equal to the value of the trade secrets he attempted to steal. Given your Series B valuation, that's easily $50 million. I thought about Margaret's advice, about signing the papers, about letting Marcus think he'd won. What if the fabricated evidence actually damages Neural Path? I asked. What if investors get scared? We'll file a protective motion with the court immediately after the settlement is signed. We'll present the security footage and email logs showing the documents were created and sent without your knowledge or consent. Any investigation will quickly reveal they're fabricated. Marcus doesn't have access to your actual company systems or data. Whatever evidence he created can't withstand scrutiny. When should I sign? Today. The faster he thinks he's won, the faster he makes his next mistake. I pulled out the settlement agreement. 15 pages of legal language that all boiled down to Isabella Webb gives Marcus everything, and he stays quiet about her supposed crimes. I signed on the last page. Isabella Webb, in my careful handwriting. David witnessed it, then scanned and emailed it to the address Marcus had provided. Now what? I asked. Now we wait for him to claim his prize. And we prepare for his arrest. Marcus's lawyer girlfriend, apparently named Vanessa Sterling, reached out 3 days later. She wanted to schedule a meeting to transfer assets and finalize the settlement. She suggested her office in downtown San Francisco, neutral territory. David insisted on coming with me. You're still legally married to him. Anything you say could be used in court. I'll do the talking. Vanessa's office was aggressively modern, all glass and chrome. She was younger than I expected, maybe 30, with perfect highlights and a Hermes bag on her desk. Marcus sat next to her, wearing a suit I'd never seen before. New, expensive, probably bought with the $5 million he thought he was getting. Miss Webb, Vanessa said, not quite smiling. Thank you for coming. I understand you've signed the settlement agreement? My client has executed the document. Yes, David said smoothly. Excellent. Then we just need to process the share transfer and wire transfer. I have the paperwork here. She slid a folder across the table. David opened it, scanning the documents. Share transfer agreement for 50% of NeuralPath stock from Isabella Webb to Marcus Webb. Wire transfer authorization for $5 million from Isabella Webb's accounts to Marcus Webb's account. Quit claim deed for the penthouse. From Isabella Webb to Marcus Webb. I see, David said. And you've verified that my client has the authority to transfer these assets. Vanessa blinked. I'm sorry? You've confirmed that Isabella Webb is the legal owner of these assets? The shares, the cash, the property? Of course. She glanced at Marcus, who was staring at David with growing suspicion. The settlement states that Isabella Webb agrees to transfer 50% of her shares in NeuralPath. David pulled out his own folder. Unfortunately, Isabella Webb doesn't own any shares in NeuralPath. The room went very quiet. What are you talking about? Marcus's voice was tight. She's the founder. She owns the majority stake. Isabella Chen is the founder, David corrected. The Chen Family Trust holds 100% of NeuralPath's shares. The trust was established in 2019, 4 years before your marriage, using Miss Chen's maiden name specifically to protect her business interests. Vanessa was flipping through papers now, her face pale. The company registration lists the Chen Family Trust as the sole shareholder. You can verify with the California Secretary of State's office. David pulled out another document. Here's the trust agreement. Established the 15th of March, 2019. Beneficiary, Isabella Chen. No assets acquired by Isabella Webb during her marriage have any connection to this trust. Marcus stood up so fast his chair fell backward. That's bullshit. She owns the company. I've seen the documents. You've seen documents related to NeuralPath's operations. David agreed. But if you check the signature lines, you'll notice they all say Isabella Chen in her capacity as trustee of the Chen Family Trust. Not Isabella Webb, not personally. The trust. This is fraud. Marcus turned to Vanessa. You said this was airtight. I reviewed what you gave me, Vanessa said, her voice shaking slightly. You said she personally owned. She does. She built it. She runs it. She manages it as trustee, David said calmly, but she doesn't personally own it, which means the settlement you drafted, demanding 50% of Isabella Webb's shares, is worthless. Isabella Webb owns 0 shares. The settlement also demands $5 million from Isabella Webb's accounts. Unfortunately, Isabella Webb's bank accounts contain approximately $8,000. Her salary from NeuralPath is paid to the trust and dispersed according to trust guidelines. The penthouse is owned by the Chen Family Trust. Purchased in 2020 as a trust asset. Isabella Webb is listed as the resident, but she doesn't hold the deed. I watched Marcus's face cycle through emotions: confusion, disbelief, rage. He turned to me, his eyes wild. "You manipulative bitch. You planned this." "I protected my assets when I started my company," I said quietly. "Long before I met you. You assumed I was too naive or too trusting to have proper legal structures in place. You were wrong. I'll sue. I'll destroy you. You'll what?" David interrupted. "Sue for 50% of nothing? We have security footage of you illegally accessing her laptop on November 9th. We have email logs showing you forwarded proprietary neural path documents to your employer, MedTech Solutions. We have the fabricated evidence you created attempting to blackmail my client. Would you like to discuss that?" Vanessa stood up. "I need to speak with my client privately." "Take your time," David said. "We're not in a hurry." They left the conference room. Through the glass walls, I could see them arguing. Marcus was gesturing wildly. Vanessa kept shaking her head, pointing at documents. "Do you think she'll drop him?" I asked David. "She's realizing she was used to execute a crime. Smart lawyers don't stay involved when their client is facing multiple felonies." 10 minutes later, Vanessa returned alone. Her professional mask was back in place, but her eyes were hard. "Mr. Webb has decided to withdraw the settlement agreement." "Interesting," David said, "because my client has already executed it. It's a binding contract." "Mr. Webb is entitled to 50% of all neural path shares owned by Isabella Webb, $5 million from Isabella Webb's accounts, and the penthouse property owned by Isabella Webb. Those are his legal rights under the settlement he drafted. But those assets don't exist." "Exactly, which means Mr. Webb attempted to defraud my client through extortion and blackmail, using fabricated evidence to claim assets he knew or should have known didn't exist." David pulled out yet another folder. "We're filing criminal complaints this afternoon. Corporate espionage, fraud, attempted extortion. We're also filing a civil suit for damages related to the theft of trade secrets. Given NeuralPath's recent $200 million valuation, we're seeking $50 million in damages." Vanessa's face was ashen. "You're bluffing. We have security footage, email logs, the fabricated evidence Mr. Webb created, his own settlement agreement, which outlines his blackmail demands. We have everything we need." David stood up. "You have until 5 p.m. today to convince your client to return all proprietary documents, resign from MedTech Solutions, and sign a confession detailing his actions. In exchange, we'll reduce our civil damages claim to $2 million and recommend a lighter sentence to the prosecutor. And if he doesn't, then we pursue maximum penalties. He'll lose his career, his freedom, and every asset he has. Your choice." We left Vanessa's office. In the elevator, I finally let myself breathe. "Did you mean that?" I asked. "About the deal?" "Absolutely not," David said. "We're pursuing maximum penalties regardless, but people make stupid decisions when they think they have an out. If he confesses, it saves us time in court. And if he doesn't, then we destroy him the hard way." Marcus didn't take the deal. Instead, 3 days later, he tried to sell NeuralPath's proprietary algorithms to MedTech Solutions for $2 million. David had anticipated this and had already alerted the FBI. They arrested Marcus in MedTech's parking lot with a briefcase full of stolen documents and a signed agreement to sell trade secrets. The news hit tech blogs within hours. MedTech Solutions employee arrested for corporate espionage. By evening, it was on CNN. Husband attempts to steal wife's $200M startup. My phone exploded with messages. My investors, my team, Margaret, my mother, friends I hadn't spoken to in years. Everyone wanted to know if I was okay. I was better than okay. The FBI raid on Marcus's apartment uncovered everything. The fabricated evidence he'd created to blackmail me, poorly constructed documents with obvious digital manipulation, the correspondence with his MedTech supervisor, planning to use my algorithms to build a competing product. The emails with Vanessa, where he'd bragged about taking Isabella for everything she's worth. The prosecutor was thrilled. Open and shut case. Marcus was facing 15 years in federal prison. Vanessa Sterling lost her law license. State bar investigation found she'd knowingly participated in extortion and fraud. Last I heard, she was working as a paralegal in Fresno. MedTech Solutions paid Neural Path $12 million to settle our civil suit and avoid criminal charges. Their CEO personally called to apologize. But the best moment came 6 weeks later. I was in my office, the real one at Neural Path headquarters, when David called. The judge denied Marcus's bail appeal. He's staying in county until trial. Good. There's more. He's trying to claim he's entitled to half the MedTech settlement since it occurred during your marriage. I laughed. I couldn't help it. The settlement that resulted from his own criminal activity? Exactly. His public defender argued that marital assets include damages awarded during the marriage. The judge asked if Mr. Webb was seriously claiming he deserved half the money Neural Path won after suing him for trying to destroy Neural Path. His lawyer withdrew the motion. How long until trial? 4 months. But he'll plead out. His lawyer knows he can't win. Best case scenario, he gets 8 years with possibility of parole in 5. And worst case? 20 years, no parole. The federal prosecutor is not playing games. I hung up and looked out my office window. The San Francisco skyline glittered in the afternoon sun. My company had just signed 3 new healthcare systems as clients. We were hiring 20 new engineers. Forbes wanted to do a profile on me. My assistant knocked on the door. Miss Chen? Your 3 o'clock is here. The interview with TechCrunch? Send them in. The journalist was young, eager, with a digital recorder and a list of questions about building a unicorn startup as a woman in tech. People say you were lucky, she said, 15 minutes into the interview. That you happened to have the right legal structures in place when your husband tried to steal your company. Do you think it was luck? I thought about Margaret's advice 6 years ago. About setting up the trust, about keeping my maiden name for business, about protecting myself legally before I needed protection. No, I said. It wasn't luck. It was preparation. When you're a woman building a company in this industry, you learn quickly that people will underestimate you. They'll assume you're naive or emotional or too trusting. They'll think they can manipulate you because you're kind. My mentor taught me to separate who I am in love from who I am in business. To protect my work with the same intensity, I protect my heart. And when your heart and your work collided, my work survived. My heart healed. I smiled. The work always comes first. That's the lesson I want other women to learn. Build your company on solid ground. Protect your assets. Use your maiden name for business if you want that separation. Trust your instincts when something feels wrong. And never, ever sign anything without reading it first. What would you say to Marcus if you could talk to him now? I considered this. Marcus, sitting in county jail, facing 15 years in federal prison. The man who'd held me while I cried, who I'd trusted completely, who'd planned my destruction while pretending to love me. I'd say thank you. He taught me that the best revenge isn't anger or confrontation, it's preparation. It's building something so solid, so legally protected, so completely yours that no one can take it away. He thought my signature on those divorce papers was his victory. He didn't know my signature as Isabella Chen was what protected everything I'd built. The journalist smiled. That's a powerful message. It's the truth. I stood up, ending the interview. Women need to hear it. Your spouse might love you. They might support you, but your business, your assets, your work, those need legal protection that exists independently of love. Because love can end. But what you build, that's forever. 3 months later, Marcus pleaded guilty to all charges. 8 years in federal prison, $5 million in restitution to Neural Path, permanent prohibition from working in healthcare technology. I didn't attend the sentencing. I was in New York, closing our Series C funding round. $75 million. Neural Path was now valued at $400 million. Margaret flew out for the celebration dinner. We sat at a rooftop restaurant overlooking Central Park, drinking champagne that cost more than my first month's rent when I started the company. You did it, she said, raising her glass. Built something unbreakable. We did it, I corrected. You taught me how. I taught you the legal structures. You built the company. You had the courage to protect it. She paused. Are you dating anyone? I laughed. No. And I won't be for a while. I'm focusing on neural path. Good. The right person will wait. And when you find them, you'll already have shown them who you are. Someone who can't be manipulated, can't be stolen from, can't be destroyed. Someone who signs her name as Isabella Chen. Always. I flew back to San Francisco the next morning. My penthouse was exactly as I'd left it, clean and quiet and mine. All mine. The Chen Family Trust's asset, protected, secure. I made tea and sat at my desk, the same desk where Marcus had tried to steal my company. My laptop was open to NeuralPath's dashboard. 300 employees now. Contracts with 47 healthcare systems. Algorithms that were changing how hospitals predicted patient complications. My phone buzzed. A message from David. Marcus officially reported to federal prison today. Congratulations, you won. But I hadn't won anything. I'd protected what was mine. There's a difference. I typed back, thank you for everything. Then I opened my email and started working on tomorrow's product roadmap. NeuralPath had a future to build, and Isabella Chen was just getting started.